bonfire that night. Oh, there we go. And they would all stand around, they would all be around the bonfire and they would dress up. Now, what I read didn't tell me what they would dress up as. It just said that they would dress up. But the idea was to celebrate the end of summer and the end of the harvest. But it was also more of a solemn time too, because they were preparing themselves for the oncoming winter. And with the oncoming winter, there was a recognition that some of them who were there at that celebration would not be there come spring because the winters were harsh. And so they knew that people would die during the winter. Well, fast forward 1,000 years and the Roman Catholic Church comes in and converts people to Catholicism. And what do you do with Samhain? You incorporate it into something and you make it Christian. So on November 1st, in the Christian calendar, they celebrate All Saints' Day. All Saints' Day. So it's about celebrating all the saints. And I like to say all the saints, whether they are alive or not, if they have already passed from this plane. And so the idea is that they celebrate all saints. And part of the tradition for Samhain that I want to say is that they believed that the veil between here and the other side was very thin on this day. And that's why the ghosts and they could communicate more easily with people who had transpired to the other side. So if there's anybody you want to talk to later today, today's your day. So in looking at that, and looking at the fact that, you know, it's about honoring those who have walked before us. It's about honoring the people. All Saints' Day is about honoring the people that upon whose shoulders we stand. In unity, we would say that we stand on the shoulders of Emma Curtis Hopkins, Emily Cady, the Fillmores, Eric Butterworth, Martha Smock, and a number of other people who were those people that were there at the beginning that really stood in the foundation of truth. And they saw a lot of change. And I want to say that right now, and this was part of what we were talking about at conference this last week, is right now we are in a time of epic change. People keep saying, when are we going to get back to normal? Let's just get back to normal. But there's not a normal to get back to. It's about that we're at this time in our lives when we have the opportunity to step forward. But to step forward means that we step into the unknown. Means that we are willing to step into the unknown. So I think of my grandfather. Whenever I think about deep change, I think about my grandfather and all that he got to see and experience. He was born in 1903 here in Arizona, raised on ranches where they still drove cattle by horseback. Took him 3 days to drive cattle from Prescott to Tempe. Now you can get in your car and get there in 2 hours. He saw the oncoming of cars being more popular. He saw trucks being used for the ranching so that it made ranching easier. He went from a one-room schoolhouse to be able to see the oncoming of universities and schools of higher education, indoor plumbing, electricity, insulation, things we take for granted. Washing machines and dryers. So many different things. Men flying in airplanes, the development of jets, and a man walking on the moon. And I never once heard him say, whoa, we need to stop. Can't deal with this. We need to stop this. But the truth is, right now, we are in that type of change, and even more so. Things are changing at a rapid rate. I read not too long ago that in Silicon Valley with all the technology stuff, that if you go in for your review and you have not failed at a project, you are fired. Now, it used to be, if you failed at a project, you were fired. What do you mean you spent all that money and nothing happened with it? But the way that they think now is, if you have not failed, you are not being innovative. You're not being willing to step out of your box. And if you're not willing to step out of your box, then the company will die. The Fillmores began Unity not as a church. In fact, they didn't want to do church. They were about stepping out into doing something different, about creating something that was brand new. After Myrtle had her healing experience and had that inner transformation, she was all about helping people to have that inner transformation too. Unity is founded on teaching and publication, prayer for healing. Charles Fillmore was interested in teaching and publication. He learned how to publish magazines and he would send them out. And you could get a subscription to a magazine for very little money. And he would mail them out to anybody who wanted them. The Fillmores would get together at 9 o'clock every evening and they would pray. And they would invite anybody who wanted to pray with them to pray with them, no matter where they were at 9 o'clock in the evening. And they didn't do well, this is Central Time and your Pacific Time. So if you want to pray with us, we're praying at 9 o'clock Central Time. And so that's 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock Pacific Time, 7 o'clock or about 7 o'clock Pacific Time. Yeah, I mean, they didn't do that. It was, we're praying at 9 o'clock. Because they knew there was no time or space with spirit. And so when you pray, and you pray in that consciousness, you're praying together. A new idea, a new way of doing things. Charles Fillmore taught classes on Wednesday evenings. And then he would say, now go back to your church on Sunday. Because he wasn't church. He was a teacher. Now you go back to your church on Sunday. But what people found was that it was a little difficult to just go back to their church on Sunday because of the difference in what they were hearing. And they you won't hear me use this word very often, begged him to start a church, to start meeting on Sunday, to start meeting on Sunday. Because they were used to going someplace on Sunday. So can we go back to just going on Sunday? And he finally gave in and did Sunday services and created spiritual centers. But at the spiritual centers, it was all about affirmative prayer. It was all about healing. It was about transforming lives. It was about prosperity in all ways, not just about financial prosperity. Innovative. At the age of 93, I'm going to say that again. At the age of 93, he wrote, "I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm as I spring forth with a mighty faith to do that which ought to be done by me." He didn't say, "I'm 93, I need to go take a nap. You guys just go on and do your thing there because I'm going to go over here and take a nap." It was always about what's that next thing? What's that next thing? Do you know that next to America, next to the United States and Canada, I'll say next to the United States and Canada, the largest unity region is in Africa. In Africa. Now, that's not because we sent missionaries to Africa to convert the Africans to our way. It's because when radio came out, Charles Fillmore got on the radio and he saw it as an opportunity to reach people everywhere. And so he would do his talks on the radio, and people in Nigeria could pick it up. And they wanted to know more about that. And so they began to learn more about that. And it's really fun because when we do the international conference in June, the Africans come in their native garb, their native dress, I shouldn't say garb, their native dress. And it is so much fun to see them there, knowing that the reason they are there is because Charles Fillmore was innovative. He was willing to step out and do something new. And if it failed, and he had a lot of failures, I'll just tell you, we talk about all his successes, but he had a lot of failures too. Because you do when you step out and do something new, when you step out and try something that's never been tried before. So how do we get those divine ideas? How do we get those divine ideas? So as I look around the room, I see people dressed up as different qualities. The quality of creation, of creativity, the quality of prosperity, the rainbow bridge, which is that promise of life. There are so many different qualities, the quality of giving, the quality of love. And when we tap into that true nature of who we are, when we tap into that and we sit in the silence and we listen, we'll get a little spark. Be a little spark of an idea. Now, oftentimes when we get that little spark, what do? Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Uh-uh. But what if we just sat with the spark for a moment to see what happens with it? What if we sat with that spark for just a moment and allowed that spark to grow a little bit? To become curious. When we become curious, we open our hearts and our minds to something different. That doesn't mean that we have to do anything with it. We just get to play. I think sometimes I'll only speak for me. Sometimes for myself, I take life too seriously. I take life so seriously that it's like, oh, well, I can't listen to that spark because, well, number one, if it doesn't work, I'll look silly and look like a fool. Heaven forbid that happen. Number two, let's see. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do that. Well, guess what? Charles Fillmore didn't know how to do the radio either when he first started. He didn't know how to do television. They didn't know how to do a lot of things. But you listen to the spark with curiosity. Wonder what that would look like. I wonder who else would like to help me with that. I wonder what resources are out there. I bet there might be some resources out there for that. I wonder how that could come together. And then we maybe talk to somebody about it and say, I had this little spark of an idea. This is my spark of an idea. And rather than saying to that person, oh, no, you can't do that. That won't work. To enter into that place of curiosity. That place of curiosity where you ask questions. Oh, well, what does that look like for you? Because when we enter into that place of curiosity, guess what happens in our own mind? We get a spark of an idea. And then our spark joins with their spark. Oh, and I heard of a person that does that. Let me think about that, get back to you. And then they get back to you and they say, this is the person that I thought of. Oh, now you've got another person in there who maybe has a little knowledge. And they say, oh yeah, that's totally possible. In fact, that would be easy to do. Or they might say, wow, I've never considered that before, but I'm willing to try and let's see what happens. Expanding our lives. Expanding our lives so that we're not living in a small little box. And we're not putting God in a small little box. I'll say it again, and I've said it before. My favorite Charles Fillmore quote is that all that you can imagine God to be is possible for you. If you imagine that it is possible for God, it is possible for you. What are the possibilities that lie before us? And so I want to say that on Saturday morning, I'm going to be doing a workshop. And the idea of the workshop is that each of us, that though this ministry doesn't have a lot of ministers, previous ministers to it, everybody who has come here has brought in, whether you've been here since the first book study or if you just walked in the door, everybody brings in a previous ministry, a previous idea, a preconceived idea of how things are supposed to be, of ways that things worked in the past and ways things did not work in the past. And so we're going to take a look at those. We're going to take a look at those. And we're going to let go of the things that didn't work. And we may expand on the things that did. This workshop will not only benefit this ministry, but it will benefit each and every one of our lives, because it provides us an opportunity to look at what are the old beliefs that we're holding on to that prevent us from moving forward. What is that thing that we heard at one time that is a limiting belief about what we are capable of doing? If it is possible for God, it is possible for you. So I'm going to invite us to go into meditation. I'm just going to invite us to breathe, to allow ourselves to be in this sacred moment, in this sacred time. I invite you to think of something that you are grateful for. It can be something as simple as breathing, or it can be as grand as life itself. But something that you are truly grateful for in this moment. And allow that gratitude to just expand the area around your heart. With each breath, we feel that heart space expand. This expansion, we create more space, more gratitude. There may be other things that come into your mind that you are grateful for. Just allow the gratitude to grow. And share that gratitude with that indwelling presence. You may even speak that gratitude to that indwelling presence. I am so grateful. Thank you. I am so grateful. Thank you. And now I invite us to bring into our mind the quality that we came in as today. And if you didn't come in as a quality, think of some quality that you are. Compassion, peace, love, generosity. Whatever you are. And express gratitude for all the ways that you express this quality, for all the opportunities that you have had to express this quality. And now I invite you to express gratitude for the sparks, divine ideas that come into your mind and your heart. Acknowledging that you have a spirit of curiosity. I am so grateful. Allowing ourselves once again to become aware of the breath. Of the chair that we are sitting in and the room in which we are. We acknowledge our connection with each other. And express our gratitude. And so it is. I want to close with sharing a psalm. Psalm 126 says, "When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dream. Then our mouth was filled with laughter, and our tongue with shouts of joy. Then it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them." The Lord has done great things for us, and we rejoiced.